Hi gang, welcome back. So we were talking a lot about different ways data is affecting our lives. One of the biggest things organizations will use predictive analytics. Well, just like the word says, predictive. It's a way you can look at past or historical data and actually predict something for the future or make a great guess a lot of times. We think about this in a lot of the ways we do life today. We can look at how we track our assignments that we do. Some of you should track it a little better to make sure you're doing them on time, because historically the data is telling me you're going to be late or you're not going to do it. You'll get an email from me. That's a predictive way I look at data. Interesting. Well, let's talk a little bit about how this works for organizations or big ideas. Think about weather. Weather is just an incredible aspect filled with data. Is it sunny? Is it rainy? Is it sleeting? Is it snowing? Is it going to be cloudy, partly cloudy? Blue skies, it's incredible. Will the stars be out? We have so much data that we can predict many of things with this, and we can change the way we, as an organization, function a lot of times just because of weather, depending on what business you're in as well. Think about the history of weather itself. There's always the Farmer's Almanac. I'm going to go a little bit backwards to somewhere I love. In farming, if you're going to plant your crops, you really should look at weather and data to understand the area and regioning where you're at, to understand what's going to happen and when you should plant. The Farmer's Almanac always had a good guess from the most recent frosts. You want to plant after them. But today, global positioning can actually help us. Farmers today will utilize this information on combines to understand whether or not they should be plowing a field to 3 inches to 12 inches to actually plant a seed. This predictive analytics is amazing. It helps to show shadows or where the sunfall is in a certain area. And they'll plant in those areas first, away from the shadows as the sun goes across, or away from the fields. They'll also look at depth and how they can actually take the information and say to them, you know what, at 3 inches deep we tested the soil, there's enough fertilizer on this hillside. Or there's not enough fertilizer on that hillside. We need to take these acreage and add more soil content and fertilizers and enrich it before they plant in any of these areas. This predictive analytics is a great way to look at how the fields erode too. It can show how water has changed or there's too much in rot crops. A lot of this is information we don't think about because we're not into farming, we're into IT. But our world might be predicting and creating applications to help farmers today or tomorrow. And we'd use the basis of the Weather Channel or a lot of these different areas to where this data can be captured, or helping them design applications and global positioning applications just for all their utensils that they use every day and tools. A plow is something that we used to think about with a cow. Today it's a sophisticated piece that helps them understand depth, how they're actually working on the terrain, and whether or not they're going to flip over. These are all analytical points you might be designing code for to understand for just helping a farmer survive. Amazing. Monsanto's is one of the big things we hear about, no GMOs and all this. But the way they create seeds and they look at and test fields is an amazing amount of data that they can do predictive analytics to understand what seed would work best in what region of the world or when they should plant it. These are all soil things and all interest with water that all come into multiple points and variables to help a farmer grow more yield, which could lower our food costs overall. It's an amazing way to look at things today. Weather as predictor has done a lot of things with climate itself. Climate measurements can tell us whether or not there's going to have more rainfall or more drought. Think about global positioning data that is out there today from scientists and how it can change the way any organization functions. If you're in a cruise ship, you might want to watch just the weather data on whether or not there's going to be a typhoon, or historically when waves pick up, when you should launch a ship, when you should bring it into shore. These are all things that could change the way a cruise ship had safety to their crews themselves and all the clients. Weather is an amazing thing itself as a data. We can look at Las Vegas, one of my neat areas today that we're really looking at predictive analytics in California. We all see the fires out there. Think about how the weather and the climate change can all work together in global positionings to predict areas that are more susceptible to fires in according to the amount of rainfall in California. Or when the Vegas industry should start shutting down and conserve water because there's too much being used and the amount of rainfall is depleting, or has historically shown there's a depletion at this period of time. Or that there's an uptake in population in the area because of conventions and that they need to let more water out of the dam. These are all different areas of data aspects that can be looked at and created for predictive analytics to help us make business decisions. If you're a hotel in Las Vegas, you'd really want to know to put specials out there when there's going to be good weather, when you're going to want to bring people from bad climates, say the Northeast, that are looking to get away for sunshine, when you're going to use your advertising dollars to market that area. And say, hey, we have great sunshine, come to Vegas, here's a special, you have a free night at a hotel and a meal. That would be a great predictive analytics for an organization. IT firms help everyone do this today. They create predictive analytics, they make all this data into a data mart or a data warehouse, and then extract it to create meaning. It's not just zeros and ones. It's a powerful tool that businesses and IT departments can help each other grow with. Think about what we can do today in the healthcare industry. I like to go back to that a lot, right? We can think about the healthcare industry as a great source of data. Doctors' records are all being digitized today. I think I've told you before about how I walk into my doctor's. He pulls up his iPad, turns on a recorder and starts talking into it. It's automatically turning it into text. He immediately starts signing off in checks box everything he does, have a blood exam, have a kneecap looked at, talk about my health, put all this information in, it's put into his cloud, and he has it as an analytics. He looks at it later to see how I'm changing. He looks at my body weight. He looks at my cholesterol. He asks about my diet and tells me how to change every time I come in. And think about different things I can do to increase my health and my health benefits. That's an amazing resource. Today you can also see psychologists, just like we're doing, and talk back and forth through a hangout situation. And they can keep data on how you're progressing and how you're working as a person too. These are all different healthcare ideas. But how does someone like the CDC, who captures an immense amount of data, look at this for predictions on what they can do to help globally? Well, we've seen a lot of this recently about how they've been tracking disease and controlling this. Let's think about something a little bit more common, the flu. It's been a really bad flu season this year. I hope you didn't get sick. I didn't get sick, luckily, because I watched for it and I listened to a lot of things the CDC was saying about doing. Particularly, areas of high concentration of flu outbreaks I stayed away from. They were able to pinpoint high areas because of the influx in the hospital, and they were able to ship flu vaccines to those areas faster than other areas where they wouldn't have put so much resources and try to control and contain that outbreak. Pretty interesting. They can take all this data and they can start predicting yearly where an outbreak's going to come from first, or where it might be more effective to put all their resources in first and actually help the population stave down that flu rate. This, in the end, could help the population because, unfortunately, flu causes death a lot of times. Maybe they start giving it to populations of high areas of youth and senior citizens who are more susceptible to this. This is all data that they can track in populations. Global positioning, GIS, is a major resource today that we're looking at. Some of you might want to get interested in this because it's a gigantic field that's growing, just looking at populations and how to change the world. Healthcare informatics is really forming great ideas on this and using predictive analytics to help. Good example is GIS is being used in Japan today to understand how to increase the birth rates in the low population, to where they're putting marketing and communication information out just to make young people more aware that they should be having children because of the birth rate is so low in Japan. Also, they're looking at the population shifts and understanding why this is happening. These are all predictive analytics that they can help change their country. We can do this here too. You as IT specialists would really get engaged and change your world if you start thinking about how you capture data or use data that's already out there as predictive. How can you change something? How can you help an organization? This type of thought will help you be an entrepreneur and get a job quicker. Well, gang, I hope you like some of this conversation. We'll talk again soon. Have a great day.